Well, welcome to Before 30. This is Auntie Janine.
And nephew Trey.
Well, we are so happy to be back with you all today. What a great time. We are winding down 2020.
Yes, and we are just so excited that, this was our first year, our first season connecting with everyone. And we are super excited to kind of be winding down, but also just review and talk about what we've been, what we've had the opportunity to talk through over this past season. So I'm super excited.
I'm excited too, because, we've built this amazing Before 30 family. We need some of y'all to come on and y'all connecting, y'all listening to the podcast. We need y'all to engage with us a little bit more on our Instagram page and Facebook and LinkedIn. So, stay connected with us and sharing. Some of you have just gotten a book from one of our most recent speakers in our finance series. And so this has just been such a good time. I'm telling you, nephew, how has the finance series impacted your spending over the last couple of weeks?
It's really made me think about some things and reflect about some things. So I'm at a weird phase in my life right now, just, recently moving back to Atlanta, getting married. Thinking about joint finances, thinking about putting a budget together. So, this has been it's been really great for me in my life. I've actually been able to really kind of listen to and apply everything we've been talking about over the past few weeks. So I'm excited, going into 2021, having this information and just really being intentional about my money and my finance. Well, our money and our finances.
That's right. It's not just yours anymore.
Right.
So you and your wife now have to bring your two philosophies together about spending and money and how that works. And even when I look at myself, like I have been even kind of saying, you know what, I need to get back on a more disciplined, structured budget, right? Mm-hmm. I need to start looking at these numbers every month instead of kind of managing it in my head, because I think I've taken advantage of, well, maybe not advantage. What have I done? Become comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, I've become comfortable in my way of being around my money. And now I recognize, hey, even after all of these years, I still need to stay on top of things. I might not have a lot of debt or student loan debt, but spending, just kind of managing that spending and having an idea what I want to do with my money in the future.
Because you said something on one of our previous episodes that has really stuck with me. You talked about a budget, and it was like, well, maybe you need to go and reevaluate your budget because maybe you're over budgeting for something. Mm-hmm. So that has stuck with me, a lot, to say, hey, just because, I have this budget, I might need to go back and reevaluate the budget just to make sure that, it applies 3 months later, 6 months later, and that, I have it as accurate as possible.
Yeah. So we've gotten some great comments from all of you about the series. So keep them coming. We hope that this has been impactful for your life because, one of the reasons Trey and I decided to do this is because we believe that one of the reasons a lot of people don't access their purpose is because of the burdens they have around their finances. Because debt is heavy.
Yes. And I think to add on to that, the reason we want to talk about this is we've talked about money a few times on this show, but it's that one uncomfortable topic that nobody really wants to talk about. Everybody gets sensitive, whether it's within your family, your significant other, your friends. It's that weird taboo topic that no one wants to kind of talk about directly. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how can we bring together some experts and talk about some true fundamental things that can help you? And what we really want you guys to do out there, our Before 30 family, is have these conversations with your family and friends. It doesn't do, anyone any justice just to kind of sit on this information and apply it. That's great. We want you to do that, but have these conversations and share this knowledge and this information with the people in your network.
Yeah. And there are some of you who are listening to this, has been listening to our series, and you're already in this process, right? You've paid down some debt. You're managing a budget. You're thinking about, your finances. And like Nephew Trey just said, start the conversations. So when you're sitting at dinner, you're on the phone, you're on these Zoom calls, you're with your family, even younger siblings, start talking to them now, because we want you all to be out here creating generational wealth. And the only way to do that is to have a plan. And once you've done all the things we've talked about over the last 4 weeks, right? You got your money mindset together. You've gotten your budget, you're saving, you're eliminating debt, you're killing that student loan debt. You're paying it down. You got a plan for it. And then now it's time to take that extra cash and that savings and figure out, how do I make this money work for me when I'm sleeping? That's what we want. We want you to have money in the market. So Trey, like what today we're talking about this amazing topic. What are your thoughts about today's show?
So it's investing. We're going to be talking about investing. We're going to be touching on a few topics, but my personal journey with investing, it was something my parents introduced to me, but at a very small level. All I really knew, with my mom was, CDs, and we might talk about that, certificate of deposit, the stock market, and all of the other type of investments that were out there. My parents had real estate as well, so I knew a little bit of something about that. But as it relates to the diversity that you could use for investments for your retirement or, any other type of purpose, I didn't really know about it until, I started taking a few classes. But I would tell you the fourth thing, I have an accounting degree too. And so just because you've studied something doesn't mean you are the best. There's a lot of people that are like, I still struggle with personal finances and still have a journey, and investing is one of those. Even though I may know a lot about business, I still go to a professional. I have a financial advisor that I use to help me with my investments. So we're going to talk about a lot of that today, but that's a little bit about my journey. What about you?
Same as you, like accounting degree, got an advanced master's degree, took some extra finance classes, but that doesn't mean anything about knowing how to follow a market, the stock market. And I know there's a whole lot of resources out there now, and training and Facebook classes and groups that teach people how to get into the market. But if you don't have time to do that, you definitely probably need to get some counsel. The first time I hired a financial advisor, I was in my 20s. I didn't have much debt. I had my retirement with the state of Alabama. So this is before I moved to Atlanta. And I had been working for them for 4 years. And I was moving, and I needed to figure out what to do because I had to roll that money out of the Alabama's retirement plan. And because I wasn't fully vested, I was 6 months from being vested, but it was worth leaving that job. And so I had to find me a financial advisor to figure out like the difference between the different IRAs and, and then before I knew it, I got into the market. I was buying mutual funds. I was a part of an investment club, which is a great way to start, pooling your money together with like-minded people, and a great way to build wealth if you can't do it, if you feel like you don't want to do it alone. So being in an investment club was amazing. I don't even know if people still do that, but it was a great opportunity. And it was I was the only woman in the investment club. It was all guys I went to college with. I learned a lot about the stock market from them, and a lot of them were finance majors, so they had a better understanding of the market, and I learned from them. But today, y'all don't have to.
Your point.
Oh, go ahead, Trey.
And I was going to bring up one more thing. And to your point, you kind of talked about transitions. And so, same thing happened to me when you change employers, when it's hopefully today you will walk away. And we're going to have our expert on here. We're going to definitely talk to him about that is, having a plan that, may or may not be tied to your employer. So you may change jobs. You may, life may happen. You may be a stay-at-home parent rearing a child, but making sure that you have a plan for your investments because, things will happen in life and you need to make sure you just have a plan. So
yeah, have a plan. And that's what we talk about all the time. If y'all don't get anything else from Before 30, Auntie Janine and nephew Trey, you better say, I got a plan. I got a plan. And so we got a man with a plan that's going to be on our show today. So we want to go ahead and introduce today's subject matter expert and speaker and investment financial advisor. So we are so excited to have on our show today, Mr. Royce Richardson. He is the owner and founder of EIAT Wealth Management, an independent advisory firm and insurance firm. The services that they specialize in is retirement planning, life insurance, and investments. Mr. Richardson has been in this line of business for over 20 years, and he's still a young dude, y'all. So we are so excited to have him. One of his things that he really also enjoys doing is financial literacy. and he has a partnership with the Atlanta Public School System to do financial literacy for its new employees and to offer plans that will supplement their current retirement plan and personal insurance portfolios. And so we're going to talk today about, investing and insurance, and how do you take the funds that you have saved up so that you can get into the market and understand that. But we want to welcome Mr. Royce Richardson to the Before 30 podcast and to the Before 30 family.
Welcome, cousin Royce.
Hey, good afternoon, Trey, Janine. Thank you for the invite. I'm excited. Excited to be here.
We are excited to have you.
Awesome.
And so I know Auntie Janine gave, that amazing introduction, but in your own words, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you've come into this role.
Great. So just a little bit about me. Originally from Montgomery, Alabama, with the Alabama State, majored in finance. I know y'all talked about the difference between an accounting major and a finance major. Back then, one of my uncles actually owned an insurance and investment firm. And so while I was in school, I was actually initially a chemistry major.
Oh.
And I went to his office one day and I saw this big check land on his desk. I was like, man, what's that? He said, commission. I said, that's more than I'm probably making a year working in the chemistry lab. I said, what I need to do? He said, change your major. So I became a finance major. I started working in this agency while I was in college, doing insurance. I started working with small businesses on just setting up insurance plans, and I started learning about investments then. Fast forward, getting close to graduation, that's when I got an offer from American Express Financial Advisors in Birmingham, Alabama, to work as a fee-based planner. So that's really when I started my career as a financial advisor, and I began to learn investing in fee-based planning.
All right. Well, we are happy to have you here. There is so much that we want to talk about today, but one of the things, we talked about a couple of weeks ago is this money mindset,
yes.
And which has been great. And so now, we're helping, our Before 30 family get on this road to financial freedom so that they can also, be on the journey to finding their purpose. And so they're working right now. They're saving and paying off debt. And so they're going to have a little money set aside. And as they kind of grow in their careers, they'll start making more money. I know one of the things that you talked to me about is this money IQ. What is money IQ?
So money IQ, the way I see it is just your comprehension of how to manage money at certain levels. And so one of the biggest things, as I say, is to raise your money IQ. One example of money IQ, if you're used to managing a budget of $5,000 a month, then that's your understanding. Some may be used to managing a budget of $20,000 a month. That's your understanding. And so if you have an investment account of let's say 10 or 15,000, you may use those numbers and say, okay, I'm comfortable here. But when you hit 50 or to 100,000, like, well, this is out of my reach. And so you have to raise your IQ on how to manage that money. So you have to learn, okay, what does it look like to have a diversified portfolio? What do I need to do with 100,000? What percentage needs to be in an aggressive portfolio? What percentage needs to be in cash? One example I use is, for instance, let's say someone who wins the lottery. You take someone with a very low money IQ from an economically challenged background like mine was, and they get $1 million, right? But they're used to only managing $2,000 a month. Mm. And so now this $1 million is here. They don't have the money IQ to manage that money. So they're just spending, not realizing that they're spending until the money is gone. Because most people who win the lottery, within about 2 to 3 years, they're back to where they started. But they always spend back down to the number that they're comfortable with. So now they're back to $2,000. The $1 million is gone. Now they're happy again. And so we do the same thing. I've done it over the years. I've been used to a number. Each year I've had to raise my money IQ. So, okay, I'm comfortable managing this amount. I'm comfortable with this amount of my checking account. I'm comfortable with this amount in my investment account. And that number grows. But there were times in my younger years where when I hit a certain number, I would go ahead and spend it, buy something new because my IQ wasn't there.
Yeah.
So we have to continue to learn more about money and finances, raise that IQ. So the more money comes in or the more you save, you're comfortable managing that money.
And that's a really good point. I'm glad you kind of, broke that down for us and explained what the money IQ is. And so our audience here at Before 30, it's very diverse. So we have, some folks that have been investing that probably have done, maybe formal education, but also some, they're independent, informal education. But then we may have some people that, what is an investment? What are my options? So what if you could tell us, maybe you've experienced this with some clients, why is it important to invest, and like, what do people mean by investing? Like, what does that mean?
So when we talk about investing in general terms, we're talking about making your money work for you. That's simply what investing is. You can take your money to your bank, you can set it in your checking account or your savings account, and the money is not working for you. Mm-hmm. When you invest and you take the money, and whether you put it in stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, you're earning interest. When you're sleeping, the money is working for you. Whether you decide to invest your money into real estate, at this point, if someone is paying rent to you or the money is appreciating in real estate, your money is working for you. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you invest your money in your friend's business, they're earning a profit. They're giving you a portion of the profit. Your money is working for you. So when we talk about investing, we're really talking about putting your money to work for you.
I like that. That's good.
And you kept it so simple, right? So the goal is to not just have your money sitting in a checking account where it's not earning any interest, it's not growing, and you're constantly taking money out of it. Or the same thing with your savings account, putting in a low-bearing interest savings account at your local bank, and it might not be earning anything, so it's not going to multiply quickly over time. That's right. I like that. Yeah.
And so you mentioned quite a few. So I'm not sure exactly where we want to start, but what are what's your process when you maybe sit down with a client, or how do you go through that framework of saying, hey, this is a plan that we can kind of create. These are some things to consider, kind of what's your process, or how do you start with a new client?
So it's kind of like what a doctor does. When you go to your doctor, first you have to sit down. They say, what's wrong? They have you fill out this form, which I hate filling that form out, right? And all these questions, anything wrong? What's ailing you? So the same thing with us. When you come in, you sit down, we're going to have you fill that form out. We call it a fact finder or a financial needs analysis. Mm-hmm. With that analysis, we get an understanding of where you are today. So we're going to ask some questions about what's your current income level, how much debt you have, what are some of your long and short-term goals. So we're going to go through this entire process just to find out where you are today, what's your short-term goal, what are your long-term goals, and then we're going to build a plan based upon that. And it just depends on so many factors. I tell you, and this is before 30, right? So when I deal with my younger clients, I typically don't talk to them about saving for retirement. I talk to them about saving for opportunity, because you will probably more than likely see opportunity before you see retirement, and you need to be prepared for that.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Looking like that too. So that's my niche.
So you speaking to me. You speaking to Before 30. So I'm gonna have a second real quick, because you mentioned something that was interesting. So I've never heard an advisor say, when you kind of explain making your money work for you, you kind of said the traditional stocks and real estate, but then you also said investing in businesses. And so, can you talk about that opportunity, why it's so important to, maybe from a mindset perspective, retirement may look different for everyone. I'm an entrepreneur right now. I don't work a typical 9 to 5. So Can you talk a little bit about why it's important to really maybe understand or open your mind to this opportunity concept as opposed to just retirement?
Sure. So let's say that you just take the time to save in the next 5 to 8 or 10 years. Let's say you save $100,000, right? And you can trust that $100,000 with an advisor or learn to invest yourself. But let's say one of your good friends has a business. They have a business that they need to raise $100,000 to get the business started, and you believe in it. And they come to you and 10 other friends. Each one of you invest $10,000. So of your 100,000 that you have saved, you're only giving up 10,000. So okay, you can manage that risk, and you invest in, let's say, their coffee shop or whatever great idea that they have. If that business takes off, let's say the first year they don't pay you anything, but the second year if they're paying you 5 or 10% of the profits, now you're getting paid $5,000 a year. Does not seem like a lot of money, but you only invested 10,000. After that second or third year, now the business, now you're totally in profit mode. You got another 5 or 10,000 coming from the business. It's growing, and then the fact that you have ownership in something that's tangible, so you get to learn from that. So I look for opportunities like that as well, because the stock market is just one way of investing your money.
I think it's a great idea to make an equity investment into a company, especially if you stay on top of like these new technology companies that are coming up, and they are looking. And this is just not crowdfunding. This is like a direct investment in a business where you are building equity, you buying shares that they have issued in that company, so that, like you in your example, to make money. And I never thought about it that way either, Royce, because I was like, you need to save for retirement, but other ways to save for retirement is to make money now, so that you can grow your money faster in the short term, so that you can decide how to diversify.
And to that, Royce, so we've talked about kind of your traditional retirement. Maybe we can transition into that next, but is there a way you can set different buckets of money? So maybe put some money aside for opportunities and some aside for your traditional retirement.
Absolutely. So you definitely want to have those different buckets. So you want to have a bucket for savings. That's when if we're sitting to do some investing, we talk about having anywhere from 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up in order to just even start. Right. So now you want to also have something that's on autopilot, that's that you've set aside just for investing. That's going, whether it's $200, $300, $400, $500 a month, going specific to investing, to the market or wherever you're going to invest at. And then you want to set aside another $500 or $1,000 a month, and you say, hey, I'm setting this to the side for opportunity. Whether I'm going to invest in real estate or the right business opportunity, I'm going to stay liquid over here, because there are some expenses when you're getting in and out of an investment or something in your portfolio.
So, okay. So all right. I guess I got all the questions there. You touched on liquid. So I want can you just tell everybody real quick what liquid means?
So liquid means not currently invested in any particular security, like a stock, a bond, or a mutual fund. So that this is almost like just cash. And money market is really close to being liquid, where there are not a lot of not much or any expenses attached to the money. But when you're in a particular position, or stocks or bonds or something like that, to sell that may be some cost to you. So liquid is some money set aside specifically for opportunity. You may not be earning much interest on it, maybe just be in a money market account, but you have that money set aside specifically for that.
Perfect. And so investments in general, like what is the relationship between investment and risk? Can you kind of touch on, I know a lot of people, that's the apprehension of, if I put my money in this savings account that has, a 0.2%, I know that my money is going to be there in the bank, it's guaranteed. But talking about these different investments, whether it's real estate, the stock market, a business opportunity, like how do I figure out my risk level? Like, what's that relationship between investment?
I don't want to lose my money. So what happens? I've heard about people that invest in the stock market and they lose their money. So what should we be prepared for?
So that's a very, very good question. There's so many layers to that. And I've learned so much about that over the last 10 plus years. So let's talk about risk. So let's say if you're investing in something very, very risky, then the return is very, very high. Low risk, low return. So let's give an example. If you're investing in a large cap stock, let's say like a Walmart or Amazon, right? So there's not a lot of risk there. Walmart is not going out of business. Amazon is not going out of business. So the return is expected not to be this huge return. If you're doing 5, 8, or 10% a year with Amazon or Walmart or a huge stock like a blue chip stock like that, then that's not a lot of risk. Let's talk about how do you get huge returns. So let's say you have this startup company that's not well known, and you invest your money into that company. It's very, very risky. Going into that investment, that company does not have a proven track record. But the other side of it, if you take a small company that's, let's say, has a cap of 10 million, or let's say even 5 million, it has the opportunity to grow to 50 million. So your investment can double or triple or be 10 times what it was in the next 3 to 4 years. And an investment like a Walmart, it is not likely that your investment will double over the next 5 years. Because what's the likelihood of Walmart doubling in size?
So how do I figure out my investment risk? Like how do I figure out what I'm comfortable with?
So we do in that needs analysis and that risk assessment, we're going to ask you, how do you feel about risk? We're going to ask, are you okay with losing some of your money?
What is some? What is some like?
You know, on a 10,000 investment, are you okay with losing all of it? Possibility.
Okay.
Are you, or do you not want to lose anything? And some would say, no, I don't want to lose anything. So there are investments out there that we have that are market correlated or index-based investments, but you're not in the market. And in those particular investments, you can't lose money. The risk is moderate. The return is moderate. But those who said, man, I can take a little risk. I don't mind a little bit. And so we'll put you in a moderate portfolio. That may be, 6 to 9% a year or 12%. But if you say, hey, listen, I don't mind risk, I'm investing my money, I'm in it to win it. Great, thank you. So we take the money and put it in whatever we need to put it into. That may be small cap or some very risky investments with the opportunity to earn a lot of money or to earn a great return. I give an example, like some of my high net worth clients or accredited investors, we put them into alternative investments. That's investing in oil, gas, solar. And so those type of investments will pay them 12, 15% interest each year. But on top of that, it's been a residual income. They're getting appreciation. They're getting all these different perks. And then if it's in oil and gas, they may even get some tax benefits just for investing in it. So it's this huge win for them, right? But if things go south, which for some, I'm not going to say it's gone south, but it's a little harder to, those investments are less liquid. And in a market like this, if they wanted their money back today, right now, they would have some access, but not to all of it. But that's because you're in an investment that's almost guaranteeing you 15 to 20%, which we can't use the word guarantee, but you're getting a lot up front in that investment. So it just all depends on how much money you have to invest, how much risk you want to take on, your age. As someone gets older, we may just put them into something safe that's almost like a money market or an insurance-based product like an annuity that pays a guaranteed interest amount of 3 to 4%, regardless of what the market does. So it just all depends.
Let's take this back just a little bit. Let's do some vocabulary. Cool. So you mentioned some, large cap, small cap. Let's do a few things. What is a CD or a certificate of deposit, and what type of person should invest in that?
So CD or certificate of deposit it's a bank certificate that you give the bank your money and they will promise you a small amount of interest on that money. And the reason I'm looking like this is in the 80s, CDs paid 5% or even more, 8%. Today, let me see, can I even use the term we use? As a joke, we call them certificates of depreciation and not certificate of deposits, because now you may earn 1% on a CD at a bank. That's a literal rate. and inflation is much higher than that. So each year your money's in that CD, it is depreciating. You're losing value. So that's what a CD is. So I would not recommend a CD to anybody, including grandma.
All right. So what is a mutual fund, and who should invest in a mutual fund?
So a mutual fund is it's a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and in a few other investments. And it's owned by a group of investors, and it's managed by a professional investment advisor or some type of professional trader. And so mutual funds are good. I recommend mutual funds for anybody who's getting started with investing. You can pick, a few good mutual funds out there, American Funds, Vanguard, BlackRock, and jump into a mutual fund. And so now you're investing. There are mutual funds that mainly invest in technology. There are mutual funds that mainly invest in real estate. There are mutual funds that mainly invest in different sectors of the economy. So you can pick a mutual fund that, based on something you believe in, let's say like tech, invest in that fund. And each month, someone is managing that fund for you, a professional manager, and the fund is growing each year. So you're earning interest, and you're investing without having to know a lot about the functionality of a stock, bond, or mutual fund. But also, the biggest thing is you can pick a fund up, look into the fund, and find out what are the top 5 or 10 companies in the fund. So when you find a fund that has Amazon in it, or has a Walmart, or has a whatever company, or Apple in it, you say, okay, I know that this fund is going to perform pretty well based upon what's happening right now. And when it's not, you can move out of that fund and get another one.
So what is an IRA, and who should get one?
Okay, so a couple of things. IRA, we commonly call an IRA individual retirement account based on it. But if you go, I guess, look at the IRS rules, it's called an individual retirement arrangement. And so you can arrange it however you like. So anybody should start an IRA. If you're working, you should start one. In most cases, we recommend a Roth IRA. So going into a Roth, any money that you put into it, which is with after-tax dollars, that money grows tax-free. So you want your money to grow tax-free. Right now, interest rates and taxes are at an all-time low. So if tax rates go up, any interest that you've earned on that money in the future, since it's a Roth IRA, you got access to that money tax-free. You've already paid taxes on it. So we recommend a Roth IRA, a retirement account. The other thing you can do is, let's say you have an old 401k with some company that you said you didn't like and you don't want to work there. You was only going to be there a year, and your behind was there 5 years. You have that money sitting in that old retirement account. You can access that money. You can roll it over into an IRA. So you can roll it from an old 401k or 403b into an individual retirement account or arrangement. And at that point, we can help you pick. You can do it on your own, or you can use an advisor. We can help you pick an investment strategy based upon your risk tolerance and manage the money. There's one other kind of situation that sits out there that a lot of people may not know about, which is a self-directed IRA. And you can take that money, because it is an individual retirement arrangement. You can buy and sell real estate and different things inside of that account. There are a lot of rules that are associated with it, but there are a lot of things you can do with those IRA monies and avoid taxes.
Right. And then we talked about stocks. Stocks are you're buying ownership into a company, yeah, and it grows, and you might get dividends. So what's the dividend that you get from purchasing stock?
So the dividend is like a portion of the profits. Certain companies, like back in the day, one of the most well-known companies for dividends was IBM. Used to pay a huge dividend every quarter just for owning the stock. And so some of the savvy investors, or I guess investors who have pretty large portfolios, who are very well established, they buy a lot of companies like Dow stocks that pay dividends. So if you have a well-established portfolio to earn 2 to 4 or 5% dividends quarterly or annually from a particular stock, makes a difference while you are investing actively in other stocks. So that's when that diversification comes in. When you have a certain portfolio, you're going to have a portion of your portfolio that's going to be conservative. And so some, instead of going straight conservative into a money market, they may take that money and invest 20% in dividend paying stocks. That means they're not going to get a lot of appreciation that year. So they may not get that 8 or 10% gain in appreciation. However, the company is paying a dividend every quarter and paying it consistently. So they're okay with that. So if you're getting that 4% dividend growth every year over a 10-year period, 4%, that's 40% that you've made just by holding that stock.
That makes sense, and that's really good. And kind of, can you talk a little bit about? I know we talked about time, so we've thrown some years out there: 8 years, 10 years, retirement, maybe 30 years.
Sure.
What is the importance of timing in all of this? So time in the sense of there's a term called compounded interest. Why is timing and doing this now so important as opposed to, this is investing in something I can wait 10 years from now to do? Why is timing important?
Man, Trey, very, very good question. So here's that where I came to the paradigm of saving for opportunity. So from a timing standpoint, one of the first things we learn in investing is what we call a rule of 72. The rule of 72 is you take the interest you earn on your money, divide it into 72, and it tells you how long before your money doubles. So what that means is this. So let's say you're earning 8% interest on your money. Divided into 72, that means every 9 years, your money will double if you're earning 8%. So that means if you have $10,000 earning 8%, in 9 years, 10 becomes 20. And then in 18 years, 20 becomes 40, 40 becomes 80, 80 becomes 160. And so that's how when you get to the retirement age, now that 160 becomes 360, then eventually 720. That's how you get to those numbers at 65. That's why the baby boomers have the money. So they had time on their hands, right? They've been investing for 40 years. They're using compound interest in a rule of 72. And that is okay if that's your plan. And so myself, as been an active investor, but also as an entrepreneur, that's not the plan that I have for me. So I said, okay, I have to start setting aside money for retirement, yes, but also for opportunity, because I may not want to just earn that 8 to 12%, which is a very good return, but I may want to have that quantum leap at some point in the middle. So I tell others too, save for retirement, but also one of the quicker ways to get there, increase your income. Get a part-time business. Do something to create additional income to better your chances for retirement or opportunity.
One of the things that I did in my 20s, because I had extra time on my hands, was I worked my full-time job. Now, I worked my full-time job, but I also had a part-time job at the mall. And occasionally I used it to buy clothes because, I worked at the mall. So we got stuff very inexpensively, but it was a great way for me to save extra cash. And so when I was ready to start buying rental properties, I had cash saved up. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with that money. I just knew I wanted cash. I wanted to buy a house. I just knew I wanted more. And I felt like, what else was I going to do after 5 o'clock anyway? Now, we do know a lot of our listeners work, very high demanding, long hour jobs. At the time, my job literally was from 8 to 5. And it wasn't the kind of job, it was a professional job. You got off at 5. I didn't have a laptop, so there was no working from home. Yeah. So Trey, totally see that's very different about getting in this game soon. I got in soon where I didn't have a laptop. There was no taking work home, so I had time to work in the evenings and maybe a couple of weekends a month. And I didn't think I was too good to take a second job.
That's right.
For me to save money for potential opportunities. And so, buying my first home and then having a little cash to buy my first rental property.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, for our listeners, not just to say, okay, you have to follow what Auntie Janine and nephew Trey and even cousin Royce has done. But you know what? This is the time to sit down and think about, what do I want to do? What do I want to own? How much money do I want to make? When do I want to stop working for someone else? Or maybe you want to work for someone else for 30, 40 years. That's fine too. But what else do you want to do with the money? Because you can have your employer capitalize your dreams.
And to add to that, I'm not going to share much of my story because definitely want to hear from the expert, but we're all entrepreneurs here. So, there came a point in my time, many of you know that, I'm part owner in a photography company that started 4 years ago with a very small investment. And 4 years later, with hard work and time, like, that business has expanded. And so that's why I got real passionate when you use the word opportunity with investment, because I think, maybe, my generation or younger generations or, any generation, I think, should broaden the definition of investment from just retirement to like opportunity, because there are a lot of opportunities out there, especially with, just the world, the market, a lot of things are changing. So I really like that.
No, I like the train of thought that you're both on. I remember many, many years ago, I took an opportunity in management at a hospital. And in my early 20s, but I remember meeting the CEO of the hospital, very, very cool guy. And I saw a write-up in the paper, this was locally in a small town, that also said that he was a realtor. And so I kept the paper, I read it, I'm like, this can't be so. And I was one of the directors actually, the directors in that hospital. So I went to him. I was like, "Is this you?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "You saw real estate too? And you're the CEO?" He's like, "Yeah," but so he kind of talked it down. Right after that, I went and got a real estate license. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I said, if the CEO of a hospital will get a real estate license, that's something to this right here. That's about a second stream of income. And even in my investment career, I've kept a real estate, like I have a broker's license, and so I did some brokerage for some time. And the years when I was working with other companies, they would say, "Well, why you have the real estate license?" I said, "That's for me." Yeah. And over the years, I've done quite well selling real estate, and not necessarily me selling it, but because of the license I have and the relationships that I have, I've been able to refer deals to my buddies who are in the industry. Just to be honest, we do a split. It's all on paper. I make passive income from real estate. I have for the last 8 years, and that allows me to have additional savings or money for investing or for opportunity.
That's great. So we done talk about a lot about investing and using a professional. What's the cost? What's the fees? Is it free? Can I, can I just hit you up, Royce, and be like, you can help me do some investment? You gonna charge me? What's up?
All right. That's a very, very good question. So that's something that I struggle with in the industry. And that's probably a big reason why I started my firm back in 2012. So the biggest thing was when I worked with some of the major firms is, as a financial advisor and with the licenses that we have, most of us are fee-based planners. And so being a fee-based planner works well when you're working with someone with a significant amount of income and a significant amount of assets. So we get to charge a fee for sitting, asking questions, and we design a plan for you. And that fee can be $2,500, and it can be on up to $20,000.
This is a just fee before I've even given you my money to do something.
This is fee before you've even given me any money. And so that makes sense for someone who has a portfolio of $500,000 to be willing to pay somebody $2,500 to give them a plan to deal with the next few years. Now, in our community, we know that we have about a tenth of the wealth as other communities in many cases. And so when we would sit down in our own community, instead of having $500,000 in the account, that may only be $50,000. It may only be $25,000. And so at that point, I'm not comfortable if you got $25,000 asking you for $2,500 as a fee-based planner, 10% of your portfolio to me before we've done any investing. But I had to do that because I got a portion of that fee and I split it with the company. That was just kind of our arrangement. We had to do it. And so over the years, I've just decided as I, started moving towards wanting to have my own firm, I said, when I step out on my own, I'm not going to charge that fee unless it's warranted. So on a few clients, we do charge that fee, who are some of our high net worth clients. We do charge it and they're okay with it. But for the average person who comes to us, whether it's a new investor who's getting started or have, let's say 100, 200,000, we're still, most cases, we're not going to charge a fee up front. So our initial consultation, there's no charge for that. The way we do get paid, though, is a few ways. If you decide to purchase a product, allow us to invest money for you, most companies will pay us a commission. So that's the on the insurance side of things. On the investment side of things, if it's just transactional, you need us to do a transaction. Their fees normally range around 5.7%, just to do a transaction. If you need help, transactional is about a 5% fee. And we don't keep all that. We split it with the companies. The other way, if you decide to be a client as a fiduciary, then we will help you manage your money. As a fiduciary managing your money, at that point, we're only charging about 1.75% a year or 1.5%, depending on the size of your portfolio. And so we're charging really less than 1% because we also use professional investment management companies, people who pay, who have paid staff that analyze and make trades on our behalf. And so that fee of a little bit more than 1%, we split it with the professional and management companies. So we're literally charging less than 1% personally to manage your account, but the client sees maybe a fee of 1.6 or 1.7%.
That is good. And I think it's important to, you're getting into this to sit down with someone, sit down with Royce or one of the agents at his firm to really get an understanding of where you are today, what you need to do, because especially if you're in this process and say maybe you've gotten to a point where you have $5,000 or $10,000 saved, and that's, and you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do in 2021? So, we're at the end of the year. This is a great time to sit down and have a consultation. And you heard the people at EIAT Wealth Management will talk with you for free. So, we want to make sure that you guys schedule some time with Royce and his team to at least start having this conversation to see if you're ready, what your readiness is, to evaluate your risk, to see how to look at what you're doing right now, how much money you have saved up, how much debt you need to pay off. So before you jump into this, and even to say, maybe I need life insurance because I keep moving from company to company every 12 to 18 months. So that could be another thing.
And I would say it's never, and for our listeners, it's never too soon to have this conversation. You can have the consultation and you can start off small. You don't have to be putting hundreds of dollars away a month. It can be very small amounts, or say, hey, maybe I need to, take care of some stuff and I can come back in 3 months and set a plan. So, I really urge everyone, if you have not started putting together a financial plan, please, over the next few weeks, like get on his schedule. He might be out for, the holidays are coming up, but make sure in the beginning of 2021, like at the latest, you get on his schedule just so that you can already build this habit, this behavior. And then think about it, if you're single, if you're, in a relationship, like these are other things you have to think through, and we don't want you to delay it because it's important. You might be building a family. There's a lot of nuances. So the sooner you have this conversation, you can be more proactive about your finances. So we've been pumping you a lot, Roy. So tell all of our listeners how they can get in contact with you. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Sure. So one thing I want to add to that point that you all made, a lot of my clients over the years, we've been in a bull market, so their money's been growing, so they rarely open their statements. But right now, with the turbulence in the market, you want to have advice. You want to open your statements, or at least at minimum have your stuff reviewed. make sure that you're not all aggressive. So if the market takes a big 40% dive, that you take a 40% dive. So have your portfolio looked at by an investment advisor, someone that you know and trust. If you don't have anyone, we can help, depending on how complex it is. I do have on my staff, who's is also my business partner with the investment side. He's a CFP. So we can certainly help.
Right, if the market looks like it's starting to take a dive and you're not in the market, but you have cash to get in the market, it could possibly be a good time for you to buy low, and grow over time. Yeah, in the right situation. Now, this is a disclaimer. I am not an investment advisor.
And I would say, I have a financial advisor and I'm asked the questions. This is your money. So don't be up here feeling pressured to do something I've had to walk my sister through the process, my fiance, this is your money. Ask the questions, make sure you are comfortable with it. Don't feel like you're pressured into having to do something. So, it is important to have an advisor, but also to make sure you feel comfortable. And so that's why it's great when they do I like when advisors do a consultation, because to me, it just sets the relationship off a lot better.
And if you feel comfortable, don't walk away.
I understand it should be there that the advisor works for you. We work for you. So that understanding should be there. So to reach me, of course, we're on Facebook. Feel free to go to our Facebook page on the EIAT Wealth Management. You can go to our website, which is EIAT Wealth Management. Also, you can call or text me directly. So I would say text because I probably won't answer if I don't know your number. So it's 404-840-31.
All right. He done gave y'all a phone number.
Okay. So you have no excuse now.
I'm going to give you that. When I say text, you may, although I may respond, but depending on the scenario, I may refer you to one of the advisors in the firm to work with you. So I may, but I will kind of be actively watching. The office number is 866-526-6201. And that'll get you to me or one of the other advisors in our firm. So I thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Because you have been allowed yourself to make you so accessible. For the first 2 people that reach out to you, now you have to he gave you his cell number. So our listeners, if you do not currently have an advisor, and I don't know if you might do portfolio review, but for the first 2 listeners that reach out to Royce and say, hey, I received your information from the Before 30 podcast, we're going to give you 2 books. There are Auntie Janine provided some books. So we because this is a series, we want to make sure that you have the resources you need. So we're going to provide you with some resources to help you on your investing journey. So I, Nephew Trey, I'm going to provide you with some investment books. I don't know what it is just yet, but you have to reach out to Royce. Say you heard about him on the Before 30 podcast, and we're going to get you some investment resources.
That's right. And so we're going to make sure that you also give Royce's information. Just check us out. Check it out down in the show notes. It's also going to be on our social media pages so that you can stay in touch with him. And, this is our Christmas gift, our holiday gift for all of you. So this is a great time when things are slowing down a little bit to reach out to a financial advisor, to just have these conversations. Let them know what your journey is, what your goal is, and have them help you design a plan. And what better way to do that is with a firm that will not charge you for this initial process. So, we hope that, if you don't use EIAT Wealth Management, but you use someone, because that's how important this is for all of us, for you to be on this journey.
Listen, this has been excellent for me. I'm super excited for you all. I wish I had Before 30 way back when. That'll help me out a little bit more.
Thank you, Royce, for being on the show today. We thank you and all the folks at your firm. And Royce has a beautiful family. So, you'll see pictures of him and his family, and they're part of, this journey and supporting him. They're part of the process. So, again, just remember, on Before 30, you are a masterpiece
and a work in progress.
Before 30, yeah, I like it.